the Remington Model 58. I'll never be able to take back what I said about it. All I'll be able to do is just show it love going forward and do it justice with this video, where we're going to probably do more comparisons, more design progression, more patent exploration than ever before. So buckle in and let's check it out. Serp Garage. So here we are, the Remington Model 58. This is Remington's first gas-operated shotgun. We are going to take a look at where this design originated and where this design has gone, because it was a pretty cool ride. And what I meant there in the intro was I kind of never really gave this shotgun much love, this design. I always would consider it like, a stepping stone that, that when you're crossing through the garden, you might want to step over, that kind of thing. I always had that attitude about it, is that it was like a failed design that was quickly replaced. And I mean, it was only around for like 7 years or something like that. These came out in, typical for Remington, the Model 58. They came out in 56. They always had this like 2-year gap thing between when they were released and what the model was. I don't think it was for every single model, but it happened a lot. And it happened with this one. These came out in 56 and they were gone by 1963. And we're going a little bit backwards because our last shotgun video was on the 1100. And even in that video, I was saying, we're skipping over the Model 58 here. It was the one before this, but pay no attention to that shotgun. It didn't really matter. It mattered more than I thought. I just started, that rekindled an interest in taking a look at it, delving a little bit deeper, and then I never really could find, like a good one for me. I could never find one with a full choke for some reason, and I want to shoot trap with it. I like a full choke for shooting trap. I would have this gun for nothing else but shooting trap. And, I think it was just like karma, that because I was saying that and I poked around and I looked, I looked and looked up a source and just found the perfect one for me. I was like, yeah, this is in great shape. I wanted an early one. As we'll talk about, they did go through a few changes, but I wanted an early one. I wanted, if I could, a first year. And this is a first year. This is a 1956 model. It's got a low serial number, and it's got some of the little options there. Some of the ways that it's set up, you could tell that it was older. They had made a couple of revisements through the years, and let's just get into it. So we're going to do some comparisons because the design progression is kind of interesting and where it came from. It came from, believe it or not, from the 870. So let's just, instead of going just a step back, though, let's just go all the way back. Just wanted to warn you, that's how crazy it's going to get. We're going to be getting a pump out to check out where the origins of this thing came. But for now, let's just go back to 1909. Okay, I got my shotguns mixed up. Is it okay? They all start looking the same after a while, don't they? 1909 was the Remington what model? 1911, of course, right? 2-year gap. 1909, we all know this story, we've been through this story so many times. Why does it seem like we go back to this? Just goes to show you how pivotal this was, how pivotal this design was right here. Here's his patent. This should be looked over by every fan of this channel. 659-507. Get to know it well. This was Browning. He designed this in 1898 and patented in 1900. It's all of Winchester's great patent experts worked on this thing. Look at that, how intricately explained and designed this is. I don't have any of the wording here, but it's about 7 pages. Print it out, read it, look it up. Amazing how long this stayed relevant. You know what I mean? And the story was that after Winchester helped provide all the patents for Browning and everything like that, they couldn't really work out a deal on Browning. He knew how important having a semi-automatic shotgun, how hard that was to design, because of like that, so many other people had failed to make a design adaptable to be able to shoot all cartridges that were available, you know, and not just make a specific shotgun cartridge and say, here, it'll work semi-automatic with this one, but you just take another box off the shelf and it wouldn't work. He worked out the braking system that's inside of here that we can, if this opens, doesn't this one like kind of lock shut? Yeah. Whew. Boy, that's tight. Should have definitely loosened these, but I'm just going to show some pictures so that we don't have to actually tear this one down. Doesn't really make any sense. It'd be just quicker to just show you. This was Browning's braking system that he devised along the magazine tube. So the magazine tube was able to be loaded fully from end to end with shells, and the braking system ran along the outside of the tube. Remember that, because that's going to be pivotal. He designed that in 1898, mind you. Now, the design that made it operate semi-automatically didn't have anything to do with tapping any gas from the barrel or from the explosion. It was a long recoil design, whereas the whole barrel, let's see, it's always tough to do this on camera because of the angle that I'm at here at the table. But here we go. I can move it. See how the barrel retracts into the action. This is a 16 gauge, and man, this one is stiff. It's hard. I can't even grab it and compress it. It's that tight, you know, that if you didn't know it did that, you'd never figure it out by accident. Even shooting it, you can't even really see what's going on. It just happens so fast, you know. But yeah, the whole barrel and bolt assembly recoil together longer than the length of the cartridge. That's basically what long recoil is. It's a fascinating design, and it's one that Winchester turned their back on. Believe it or not, they told Browning to take a walk, and he did. And he took this to Remington originally, you know, back then, 1900, I guess, around there. And the president of Remington died that day. We've been through the story a million times. It's amazing. It's an amazing coincidence, but Browning had, you know, some ties with Fabrique Nationale because of pistols that he was, he had a lot of contracts for pistols with them and everything. So he brought it overseas to Fabrique Nationale, but it wasn't long before he was back. Remington showed an interest, and in 1909, sells this design, starts producing it at Remington. The only difference with the Remingtons was this is an FN. The only difference with the Remingtons was that it didn't have the magazine cut off. Somehow FN had that exclusive, you know. And this was Remington's first semi-automatic shotgun, 1909, okay? Now, there was not another revisement. It wasn't even a replacement. It was only a revisement of this design. Was 1948. That's how long that took. Could you imagine? And in 1948, we got this. In 1948, there was this guy. Let's go. There's always a guy. So this guy's name was John Vassos. He had some kind of like claim to fame. He was some kind of like RCA radio guy. Look him up. If you're interested in exploring that rabbit hole, go crazy. But he was like a designer of sorts. And he had something that had to do with designing radios. How he got involved with Remington, I'm not really sure. But Ray Crittenden, Ellis Halliston, and C.R. Johnson, we've heard of him before. This was 1948. They stepped in. Vassos designed the sleekness that you see here. They actually had ads. It's kind of like disrespectful to Browning in a way, but they actually had ads that they were like, you know, if your shotgun has a hump, you're in the past. You need a nice new sleek one like this. It is pretty cool. This shape, by the way, this design looks really familiar. 1948, but I mean, if you bought an 870 today, it looks like this. So this was a long staying design that this John Vassos designed. Pretty sure he's the one that just designed the shape of this sleek shape. But once again, this is the same, here it is, the long recoil. It's still doing the same thing. It's still Browning's design. No gas being tapped here. Long recoil design. But some differences. There are some differences here. One is that the way the bolt functions, riding on these arms that are here, on the what would you call that? I guess the bolt carrier. The way the bolt locks into the barrel here, because this is actually the barrel. We made that mistake with the 1100. I was looking at the roof of the receiver going, where is that mortise that the locking lug goes into? I was all confused and I forgot I had the barrel out. So I'm looking at the top of the receiver, but you see it in here right there. It's actually part of the barrel itself. And when the bolt closes, that tilts up and in. This specific design to the bolt and the trigger group, this is all Crittenden, Halliston, and C.R. Johnson. It's a huge redesign with the trigger group, much simpler. You knock out these two pins. See how familiar is this? Because like 1100s and 870s today have these pins in this area like this, you know? And you knock out these two pins, the trigger group comes right out. The bolt carrier rides on this, wish I could remember the name of that, but it's like a fork. Oh, wait, I think, here, wait, I got the patent for it. So I'll tell you exactly what it's called because we'll just go with the patent. Action bar, there we go. So you patented the action bar. Let's take a look at those patents. Where are they? Here's the Crittenden action bar patent. I guess I could pull these up on the screen for you to see a little bit closer. And the fire control group. So the patents, 1951, 1950 is when these were filed. And 55 and 54 they were granted. Remember in the 1100 we looked at these, they like switched places. So one was filed, this was filed before this one, but granted after. This was filed after, but granted before. So these kind of switched places timeline-wise. But look, there's your trigger group. I mean, look, there it is. That's it. It's a design that is on the barrels of 1100s and the 58 and everything. This is carried straight through. And this this action bar thing was huge. It was huge, and we're going to take a look. We're going to take these apart. We're going to dig in here. What's really interesting is that, so this is 1950, okay? Where is the here's another one. Hold on. Hold the phone. And here's another one. This is a Crittenden patent, okay? 2645873 slide actuated firearm with tilting locking block. This is 1950 also. Interesting how that's getting mixed in there, because if we take our buddy, the model 870, this is a pump action now, mind you, okay? We dump this right on top. Look at this. What are we missing? The bolt handle? It is identical. Look at it. All of these, that venerable 870, just still around to this day, it was all part of a family. So this was the family. This, as much as we love, like the A5, the Auto 5, the Auto 5 finally took a back seat to a different, I don't want to say a different design, because you know what? They are using, with just some modifications to simplify manufacture, because that's what this did basically. This made it easier for them to manufacture. Stamped steel parts, you know, that's what it was. The A5, the thing is like a work of art, you know, like putting it together. These were much simpler. They were able to keep costs down, and that is going to make, it's going to be good for everybody. It's going to make Remington make more money, and it's going to make you be able to, you know, get more for your money, and that's what it's all about, you know. So yeah, where was I? The 870 now. So you had the 1180. This is 1948. The 1148, and then the 870 in 1950, and now the designers start working, right? They start poking around with this design, and they're saying, wow, now we got a really cool trigger group. We got these really cool action bars. We got this really cool bolt. Let's take a look at this action here. Now, gas operation, it had been around. You know, it's not like they invented gas operation. They certainly invented, you know, this way that they're doing it here with this specific design. Here's the 58. We're following the same look, same patents for a trigger group, action bar, bolt assembly, right? Let's discuss how this gas operation works now. We're gonna touch on it, just so that anybody that's not 100% sure how it even works, what does gas operation mean? I'm just gonna give them a brief synopsis, but I don't want to lose anybody who knows this 100%. Let's just use we'll use this as the projectile. Gun Geek had this on the table when he was doing a couple of videos. I thought this thing was really cool. I was texting him. I'm like, where the hell did you get that? He's like, it's around. It's for sale. And I found it. It's a shotgun shell knife. This is real wood. I love this thing. That was a cool heads up. So we use this as our projectile, let's say. Now just imagine, again, as a brief synopsis here, if we want to use some gas to be able to operate the shotgun now. So let's say we have like we have the 870 here, okay? Here's the 870. So the 870 functions by, I push this back and push it forward. Now, one direction, we could just put springs and it would work in one direction, right? So if I put like really stiff springs, I could push it this way, and then if I just let go, it would just snap back on its own. Or I could have it where if I close it and there's springs, when I let go, it springs open on its own. So I really only need to go one direction. Obviously, you don't want it to spring open. You want to be able to push it closed. So that's the direction you would have the springs push. But now when I fire it, bang, I need to push it back to eject it and have another round pop up. Then my springs could push it closed again. So I have these action bars here. something just needs to push these action bars instead of my hand pushing it back. So all it's got to do is push one way. How can I do that? Okay, well, the gas operation just taps a little bit of gas. So let's say we connect those action bars to a piston, just like a piston in a car engine, you know. So it's a piston in a bore. So we already have a magazine tube here, so let's just use that. So we'll take half the magazine tube, which is what they did. That's why these take 2 rounds in the tube, 1 in the chamber. These are only 2+1 guns because of that. So let's just say we split this tube in half. We use half this tube. We just put a piston, and we connect that piston to the action bars. So now if I take some compressed air and I force it into this piston, into this chamber here, it would push back. Then when I take the compressed air off, the springs would shoot it forward again, and then it would be able to operate. Using an air hose, I'd be able to do that. So instead of an air hose, what you could do is you could tap gas from here. And how this works is when you fire, shell fires, bang, it's being pushed. A lot of pressure back here, pushing this projectile. I mean, it's a wad filled with shot, but just imagine, just say it's just count it as just one unit. It's being pushed by tremendous pressure behind it, right? And let's say when you get like right up around here somewhere, there's a couple of holes drilled in the barrel. And those holes connect to this chamber, right? The second that this projectile passes those holes, it's still pushing the projectile down the barrel, but it's also, some of that gas is being tapped into that chamber, pushing your piston back. And if you time it just right, because you can't open this until the projectile is past the end of the barrel, because the second it passes the end of the barrel, all the gas comes out of here. Pressure goes down to 0. But before it exits, it's being pushed. Like, just imagine you're pushing with a straw. It's a spitball is like stuck in the straw, and you're pushing. The second that this comes out of here, all the pressure goes away. But before that, if somebody were to like stick a pin in the side of the straw, all the air, all the pressure would come out. So that would happen here. It would blast out right into your face if the projectile wasn't clear of the barrel yet. That's why you have this delay system right here. This was the patent for these action bars, this whole carrier here. That's the whole idea. You'll see with the pump, there's just a direct connection with the pump. With the pump, there's no delay here. When I move the pump, this moves. Actually, wait, there is a little bit of a... There is a little bit. We'd have to do a little research on that and see exactly why the pump needed that. Might just be due to like primary extraction. You know what I mean? It gets like a little bit of momentum going so it could pull the shell loose. But that is interesting that it does have a delay. But this delay right here, so when you first fire, this starts moving as the projectile's traveling down the barrel, forcing gas into our chamber. Projectile clears the end of the barrel now. Right? I don't even have room on this table for these guns. Projectile clears the end of the barrel. Now this starts opening. And unlike long recoil, where it's pushing this long recoil, the barrel and the bolt go back all together, that the recoil operation goes all the way. This short recoil, gas operated, the short recoil is just a puff. It just gives it it just hits it, and it's momentum that carries it back to eject, pick up a new round, and be ready for the next shot. It's just a short piston that just gives it enough of a bump that inertia carries it the rest of the way. That's how it works. So inside of here, there is a piston. Let's check it out. It's not an easy gun to take apart. So you're going to have to give me a break. I wanted to do a lot of this stuff with edits and everything like that. I'm going to try to do it all in one shot, and we're going to see what happens. So taking this gun apart is much like the 1100. We're going to do a lot of comparisons with the 1100 now, because you got to remember, I know we did the 1100 video first, but just imagine that that design doesn't even exist yet. I know it's hard. It's there. We just looked at it. You see how it works, but let's just imagine we don't have that yet. This is what we have. We're going to take a look at this first gas-operated shotgun. Here's the holes in our barrel, and here's what they connect to. All right, we have a piston inside of here that travels in and out. The gas enters. If you look in here, I mean, it's a deep piston, but the cap, see, this cap is on here. This cap is an integral part of it too. So you gotta remember the cap is on. So the gas can't enter through here. It's entering through these holes, right? So you gotta remember this whole top part is all sealed off. So it starts moving because it's pushing it in here. And if you notice, as it starts moving, it uncovers another set of holes. So it keeps pushing. But then from there, that's it. The pushing stops. That's all it needed, was that little, from here to there, that was the push. The rest of it is just the momentum carrying it back. This is the only spring in this whole design right here. This is the action spring. This is what, like I told you, it only needs to push one way. It pushes back. That spring is what pushes it forward again after it recoils. Now, an integral part of this design is this cap. This cap has holes in it. So let's see, let's take a white piece of paper. Let's just find something that doesn't have anything on the back. Here, this is good. So just so that we could see. So we could see there's 3 holes. Front here, there's 3 that connect to 3 in the cap, because this here rotates. So it's kind of like used to line up. So when it's set to these lines, it's set for H. That's high what? High power, high powered rounds, and low power. So it's basically what the H and the L is for. So with high power, it's bleeding off through here. This is the bleed. This bleeds the gas. It needed this. It wasn't adaptable for all rounds, like how Browning's design was. In a way, it took a step backwards. In a way, it took a step forwards. It's using gas operation, which in itself had its own benefits and drawbacks. But it needed to be adjusted where this would vent the most amount of gas for when there was high-powered rounds. And when there was low-powered rounds, it wouldn't line up all 3 of those holes. It would line up only that one little one. Hold on, I gotta get, you know what I gotta get? I gotta get a light. See that one little one over there? Yep. There's just one tiny hole. And then if you had it set to high, all 3. There's a problem inherent with this design. If you analyze it, I never really thought about it. There's an interesting problem with this design. So venting gas is very important. High-powered rounds had to vent a tremendous amount. Look how much gas it had to vent, all 3. And then lower power, these are blocked off, and it's just that one. Is that the one? Yeah, it's just one little one right there. See it? Ooh, that looks like it's clogged. Hold on. Blow through there. So what would happen, let's say, if instead of set for high, instead of set for low. What if I accidentally had it right there? What if I wasn't looking? What if I bumped it at the trap range? What if? There's always a what if. I mean, things happen. Wow, huh? Yep. You guessed it. Supposedly, you would grenade this cap. That it would literally blow the front of it off. Or who knows what else. Or the piston could take a shot and get damaged. That was one of the main drawbacks with these guns. I would just be careful that you definitely had it on one setting or another. Probably would have been a better design to figure out something where when you turn it, it doesn't matter what graduation of in between it would be, it would still be venting something no matter where it was at. I don't know how somehow to just figure out how to configure these holes to be like that. But this was a weak point. This was a weak point, so much so. So the timeline of this gun, let's get into, do we even have, where's my paperwork? The timeline, they made in 878. So let's take a look at, we're going to do a lot of jumping around. I'm sorry, but here, I got my Wikipedia pages here. All right, so where were we? We were the 1148, okay? Ray Crittenden, Ellis Halliston, C.R. Johnson, John Vassos, 1948. The 870, Ray Crittenden, Philip Pascal, Ellis Halliston, and G.E. Pickney in 1950. The 1958, the model 58, Crittenden, Halliston, Haskell, 1956. They only made 271,000 of these, by the way. Whereas the 1100, they're like over 1 million for sure. Number built, 4 million. And this Wikipedia probably printed out a while ago. It's probably closer to 5 million by now. The 1100. Wayne Leake and Robert Kelly, by the way, are the ones that revised this design on the 58. We're going to show you how the 1100 ended up there, but in between, there was another one, believe it or not. There was from 59 to 63. In 1959, there's only 63,500 of these built. It was Crittenden, Halliston, Hammeister, Harold L. Hammeister, 1959. It was the model 878. They eliminated this by creating a piston that could be adaptable to the different rounds, supposedly. I don't really think that worked so great either. But should we break this down now, or let's hold on to that for now? Let's talk a little bit more just about what I learned about the design. So now we delved in a little bit. Now you got your feet wet. You're where I was. I'm learning about the 58. Hey, kind of cool. It's got this cap. It's got, you got to be careful. There's stories about parts cracking, that the pistons crack, that the ring over here, the barrel ring, there's stories about, but hey, my barrel ring cracked. You could attribute this. Now you could say, like, well, anybody's stuff that cracked, maybe they just didn't have the cap in the right spot. Maybe that's what it was. But you hear stories about this 878 also doing the same thing. So you don't know. You don't know what's going on. There's an aspect here also that I didn't even know about. So let's check this out. So right in here, okay, hold on. I'm going to need to get some more light on the subject here. So right in here, we could see there's a gasket with a funky bulge. So that's what I saw after I took it apart to clean it the first time after shooting. So this is how this all goes together now. So this ends up on here, and this cap ends up on here, right? So the gas coming through these holes it has to be just shot down these holes right here, but it can't escape anywhere. So that's why this cap is on here, number one. And then that cap is sealed to here. So that's holding that in well enough. But on this side, this is just wide open. The gas would just blow right into the forearm, right? It wouldn't go into these holes. So there has to be a gasket here. So there has to be a gasket. It's hard to show this on camera, but there has to be a gasket here. So this fits inside here, and there's a gasket keeping the gas inside this ring. And this gasket is a metal, I guess you can call it a forearm ring and a forearm washer. That forearm washer, it's another weak point, because what happens is all the gas enters into this area right here. You can see that this gasket is supported all the way around, except on the top, and it bulges up over here and gets damaged. And these rings aren't easy to find. It's like one of those things where you need like a supply of these rings to, like, be able to operate a shotgun. So what Remington did was they revised this part, because this is an early gun. So this whole ring, I don't really want to take it out because this gasket is falling apart. I did order some. So now what I ordered was, of course, there aren't just two rings. There's two different rings and two different gaskets because of it. But the revised ring pushes up into this gap right here between this gap in the forearm, and it has a raised edge that they revised it to protect against that gasket getting forced up just like this. This was the problem they were having. And they were like, yeah, oh, we got to fix that. We could fix that. We could just put a upraised thing up on top over here to hold the gasket in place. Now, does that fit inside the forearm? That other part, I bought one. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe they're different. Maybe the forearms are different too. It doesn't fit in there. And then the gaskets are different. I got in touch with a gasket guy. Gasket guy was really cool too. I told him about my channel. I asked him if I could, I'll give him like a heads up if anyone's looking for these. Do you mind if I tell him where I got them from? He didn't mind, but nothing was sent yet. He's still working on, I'm still working on whether the new ring will fit in here. He has gaskets for the newer ring, but doesn't have ones for the older ring, but might be able to custom make one or hook me up. See what I'm talking about? This is the problem. This is why you gotta be in love. Luckily, I did. I got to admit, I started falling in love a little bit. I started a little bit, so I'm okay with it. And he's gonna send me a couple of these rings, and hopefully they'll last me a lifetime. Hopefully this part fits in here. This revised ring, not the gasket. He's sending me the gaskets. Hopefully, and I bought the ring from a different guy. Hopefully it all holds together. Now, one cool thing, let me just diverge now for just a moment while I got this out like this. I'm going to show you something really cool. They told me this on the internet, and I didn't believe it. So we take an 870, okay? Take an 870, and we take the barrel off. We put it right here. Is that amazing? Is that incredible? They say, in a pinch, you can take an 870 barrel, drill two holes right here that go into the barrel, from this ring into the barrel, like these holes are in there, and you could use this barrel. They're interchangeable. Could you imagine that? That they didn't even have to change the barrel from model to model for these two. That blows my mind. And I really, we're gonna get into the 870 later too, because I think we're gonna do a little comparison with the action bars and the bolt carrier too, which would be really wild. But for now, man, I've been procrastinating. You want to take this thing apart? It's a pain in the neck. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this done on camera. and it's going to be embarrassing. But let's try it. So I'm going to show you my way of doing it. I think I kind of perfected a way. It's very tricky, but let's see what happens. I got to remember to stay on camera. And you know what else I got to get? I think it'd be a little easier using these guys for support. Let me see. Put this in here, and this in here. Maybe that'll help a little bit. All right, let's see. Put this back, and all right, let's try it. So, the action bars right here connect to the piston. It's literally connected to the piston. You can see the piston moving when I pull the bolt handle back. It's connected with a pin right here. It's just this one spot. Another weak point, supposedly, where they break. So what you have to do is, there's a relief cut. You could just about see the edge of the relief cut. See it right there by my pinky? There's a relief cut right in there, where if you get it back right at that spot, and actually, you know what they say? They say to put the cap on, because then if you mess up, it doesn't shoot the piston, because the piston is under spring pressure. It'll shoot out of there. So you put the cap on just to protect it, just in case it shoots out. It doesn't go anywhere. Would that work? Not really, because then how do I manipulate it? I'm going to take my chances. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to hold it with my finger. I'm going to get it to that spot where the relief is. I'm going to lift it up and out. And I'm just going to control. All right, so I got it out. Now I just gradually release this. And there's our piston and our spring. It's a pretty simple design, actually. It really is just a piston, and it's funny, it has a piston ring, kind of like even how a car piston would have a ring, right? They tell you, look, they write it right on here. Look, do not use oil or solvents. For best results, piston and inside of tube must be clean and dry. I've run it that way, and it's been working. Okay. I can't help but just coat my hands with ballast oil and just do the lightest possible coating just to stop corrosion when it's just sitting. But I'm sure after a shot or two, that oil just burns right off. They just don't want you soaking it. It seems like you should be soaking this. I think what they're worried about is, that could detonate under pressure when you have gas like that. High pressure, hot gas, and certain kinds of oil could actually make it detonate, and then it would be, you're already obviously having a high pressure problem because you're breaking parts, and then that oil can kind of detonate. Like BB guns do that, you know what I mean? Like if you have a lot of oil over a BB gun, just even the air pressure can make it detonate and bust up BB guns with the pressure. I'm pretty sure that happens. Is that real? Nibs, come help me out here. Is that real? Does that really happen? So now you're stuck with this here, okay? You got to get this out of here. You're supposed to take the bolt handle out and then reach in and touch this and press the, there's a, you'll know about that thing that in here that you press. The 1100 had one too. But with this one, it's on the bottom. It's like where the action bar goes. Now, what I noticed is, number one, you want to have the bolt all the way back and down like that in that spot. I don't know if you saw that on camera, but it could lift up, and it could lift up like that. It's never going to come out. It's jammed up when it's like that. It has to be down and back. So a good way to do it is you hold it down and back. Don't take the bolt handle out yet. You just slide it forward right to that area right there. Now I reach in, press that area. Should slide forward. It did, but I think it jumped up in the air. Yeah, see? It jumped up. That's what you want to avoid. You want to keep the bolt back. That's the thing. It always wants to keep coming forward, and that's what's going to mess you up. You don't want to pull the action bars forward under the bolt either. You want to just leave all of that back. When it gets to this area, I'm going to do this. Watch, putting it in is no fun either. When it gets to this area, you should be able to press this, and the whole thing should just come forward. Did I do it? Is it done? Did I do it? Is that it? I think I did it. Oh yeah, now I got to pull the bolt handle out. Right. See, that's how I did it. I got into that position with the bolt handle in, and then now we can get this out of the way. And there we go. Awesome. So I'm not taking the trigger groups out. What happened is on my 1100, you know, the cartridge release, shell release, something like that. Forgot what it's called exactly. It sticks in the side of the receiver. I know, everyone's like, if you don't know what these things are called, everyone's yelling. People are being mean. They're like, you know, that embarrassing amount of research you've done. Like somebody wrote that on a video recently. I'm like, hey, I do a fair amount of research, but I'm always terrible with nomenclature, and it's unfortunately it's one of those things that drives people nuts. But that part, it's staked in and it unstaked itself. So you can put it back together without restaking it. There's a staking tool that you could buy to do it. You could do it on your own. You could, whatever. It's a pain in the neck. But I got the 1100 trigger group back in, and I don't think I'm ever taking it out again unless it's like literally not working. That's how dirty it's got. You know what I mean? So I'm not taking the trigger group out here either. I did just to clean it initially and take a look at it. Everything looks good. But this is really where you really need to go to do the cleaning. I mean, how dirty does the trigger group really get? You could kind of clean it just from, you could blow it out a little bit. You don't want to go crazy. There's springs in there, but you could blow it out with a little compressed air, and that's it. This is where you would get dirt. And look at, isn't this cool how there's this like little carrier? So this is the patent for, this is what this guy is. Where is it? Where's the patent? Pair of action bars. Here, this isn't the one for the 870 with the web. This is it. All this mess that you see in there, and all of this explanation here is for this guy. This is the departure from from John Browning's design. Whoop, we got dog hair and gnarled fingers. My God, what was he doing? Yep, working hands. See how that fits in the action bars like that? Now this guy slides back and forth. I don't know if you can see that from this angle. See this? That's what slides up and down into the receiver. And what I should have showed you with the 1100 is how cool, how the bolt sits just like that. I should have been using the barrel instead of the receiver. Because if you use the barrel, then you could show how it sits right in there and the locking lug, just like that. That's pretty cool. That shows you how when you fire, it's locked. It's locked in there. Look at that. It's solid, that locking lug. And then when this moves, in here is what unlocks that. So this coming back. So when it fires, the gas operation is pushing this back, which is dropping that locking lug. Pretty cool, right? I love this design. It really is a cool design. These guys were good. You know what I mean? They're all right. So they took a John Browning design and they said they were gonna, mess around with it, improve on it, and it's like they had their work cut out for them. Boy, I'll tell you. But they did what they had to do here. Now, I don't know if I should leave both of these taken apart at the same time. If I take apart the 1100 now, I don't know. Let's should we switch over to how the 1100 works now? I'll put this together. I'll do anything to avoid putting this back together. It's not fun. All right. We'll leave this all. Let's put this all aside. Let's Let's just act like it's not even there. Let's get the 1100 out now. So what did they do when they went from the 58 to the 1100? This is now, who are these guys again? Sorry, guys. Get their names right, because they are awesome. Wayne Leake and Robert Kelly. Could have sworn there was somebody else involved in there, too. I think there's a name missing. These guys are smart, man. These guys take a look and they say, you know what? Sometimes when you have a problem, you look at a problem, you say, like, wow, this gas, trying to keep the gas in here. The gas is trying to push up here, messing up your gasket, screwing up your whole shotgun. Remington probably made a call to some guy, some of their designers. They were like, okay, we made a gas operated shotgun. It's having problems. Let's go, come on, solve these problems. Biggest way to solve a problem is don't try to fight this gas. They looked at this and they said, well, the gas wants to be outside the tube so much. Let's just let the gas be outside the tube. I mean, is that brilliant or what? So what these guys figured out is, check this out. They just said, when the gas comes through these holes, you got the same holes in there. You see them, right? The gas comes through these holes. We don't need to push them into the magazine tube. The gas, we don't need to push it in there and use a piston. Leave all 4 rounds in the magazine tube. It's a magazine tube. Leave it as a magazine tube. 4 rounds are back. You know, you can almost imagine they had a checklist. Like somebody at Remington was like, listen, we want 4 rounds back in the tube. We still want to use gas operation. We got to fix this problem with this gasket going. Like they gave them a whole bucket list of things to fix. And they fixed it by running the gas along the outside of the tube. But what's fascinating about that is, so now, doesn't this look a lot like, you remember where we were at the very beginning? Where we started this video when we were showing you this? Now it's true, Browning's rings along the outside of the tube, of the outside of the magazine tube are braking rings. They're not harnessing any gas. But come on, you telling me that those guys didn't have a little bit of a, epiphany looking at an A5 going like, yeah, how else can we utilize rings on the outside of this tube? So look at how awesome this design is here. So what these guys figured out is the gas could come out of the barrel and we could just build a little chamber right on the outside of the tube. And on the outside of the tube, connected to the action bars, here's the same action bars, right? With the same bolt, here's the same bolt, right? Look at it. Same bolt, same action bars. We could run the gas in a little chamber right here, because all we needed was that little bit. All I had to do was push to here, and then the inertia of this weight right here carried it all the way back, and the spring pushed it all the way forward. So now, where's the spring now? Where's the spring now? Because the spring was in this tube, right? So now there's no spring. What do? You come up with a new part that sits in here. We looked at it in the 1100 video. You'll see it. That connects. It's like a fork, and it connects, and there's a spring right in here. As a matter of fact, what I like to show, a good way to show this is with the NRA Guide to Firearms Assembly, Rifles and Shotguns, right? If we look in here, you know what's really cool? Here's the Model 58, right? By the way, I like to give, there is no author to this, right? It's just the NRA book. What's really cool is, do I have the wrong book? Maybe this is the wrong book. This is the 58. All right, sorry, it's not this book. That book is cool, but it's this one. It's the older NRA book. Firearms Assembly 1, the NRA Guidebook to Shoulder Arms. Check this out. If we go... All right, I absolutely had to edit there. I couldn't find it. So Remington Model 58. These guys are awesome. They show you like takedown procedures and stuff. Look at that. We just did that. How cool is that? Look and see. Showing you where to push, pulling that out. Come on, we were just there. In case you're worried what that looks like, taking out, that's it. It's just 2 pins and the thing pulls out. It's not a big deal if you want to take it out. But you know what? Hammer those pins away from, no, hammer it where you're pushing that staked part back into where it's staked into. Don't hammer the pins out the other way, because I think that's what makes them come out. Unstake the thing is that you hammer it the other way and it pushes the stake out. Whereas it's better to hammer those pins. Just look on like this exploded diagram. It's like it's this part right here. And just make sure you hammer it. See how they're even showing you hammering it out that way. They're even showing you the correct way. So what's really cool here is you have one right next to the other. Let me line these up. I hope these are both in camera view. So you can see with the 58, nothing back here. See? It's just a bolt, a washer, a plate behind the receiver in the stock. Whereas in the 1100, there's a whole spring, a whole mechanism here with this tube and a spring. And there's the part right there that rides inside the receiver with that fork, that fork where those 2 ends come together inside of there, and it rides in here to give you the springy action. Pretty cool, right? And remind me, there's one more. I want to look at the Encyclopedia of Modern Firearms for one more look that we'll check out later. And yeah, you know what? And we could even go in here. So let's get the barrel out once again. Can we do this now? Wait, you know what? Can we take this out without taking out the trigger group? I don't remember. I think we can. Go up top, right? Yeah, it's easy with, yeah, the 1100 is much easier. That's another thing that they improved upon. All right, and the rings come off. There we go. There's the ring set. That makes it nice and simple, right? And look, how cool is that? It's the same design, except now it's kind of like more incorporated. This isn't like just floating around on its own. The carrier is connected to the bars instead of just floating on it. And here's the this heavy part right here that's used for the momentum. There's this part in here, this doohickey in here that I never really was 100% sure what that thing did, but it's all part of this newer revised design. Lola, your hair is everywhere. It's ridiculous. And but again, this sliding back and forth, lock, unlock, right? How awesome, right? They revised this design by just putting the chamber on the outside. Now, you know, we could just chuck all of these off to the side and put them together later, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you. I want to feel good about myself when I'm done with this, that I was able to do all of these. And again, I had like a little procedure here. So with this, with the 1100, it was real important to keep that right there. And I'm pretty sure it's going to slide right in. Wait, it's the top. It's up on top with the 1100. There it is. That's the spot. Yep. In, and then no, I lost it. Once that goes up like that, I don't think you can get it. Oh, yes, you can. I got it back. There it is. That goes back. And then the rings are this guy this way, this guy facing into him this way, rubber O-ring over that. Then we do barrel into there, forearm over everything, and cap. Nice. So the 1100 is still in production today, okay? Using that design. These guys never would have been there if they didn't have this. This is why I love it. I understand the progression. I respect the progression. I understand it has its, it has its things. But I'm okay with it, provided, number one, I learned that you have to use mellow shells. That even when this thing is set to its H position, and I was using almost the mildest possible shells I could use, it was still slamming the bolt open pretty hard, and and that's, I mean, set to like the low setting, I can only imagine. Then it's not venting any gas, and it's like throwing it even harder. So it's like, I want to get this thing to the point where when I'm shooting trap, maybe every single time the bolt doesn't even lock open. You know what I mean? That sometimes it doesn't even have enough oomph to lock it open. I don't mind. I'll open it manually myself. I just want to make sure I'm not beating it up. And hopefully this part will fit in here. Uh-oh. There's a piece of this. Another piece of this gasket falling off, I think. What is that? Or is that a Lola hair? No, it's another piece of the gasket. Well, I'm going to do a whole separate video on what we do with this, and I'm going to tell you where to get the gaskets, and I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to hook you up. But for now, all right, here we go. I've been procrastinating. What we do here is we want to make sure it stays low. Oh, I can't believe I did that on the first shot like that. I am the master. Wow. Wait a minute. Was that normal? That was good. Now there's another whole aspect to this though that's really horrible. So this just fell into this thing here. All right, so that has to be out. Okay, so you could ride that right on top there, this pin. Oh, I wanted to look at it too when it was out. That you could see it in there. See that pin in there? There it is. You can see it. They say that's like a weak point. It looks like a weak point. It does. It does look weak. It's looking weak. So here's the piston. So now when you put the piston in, that ring won't allow it to go in. You have to squeeze the ring shut. So now it's in, right? But this hole has to be on top to be able to pick up that thingamajiggy. So there's a lot of things that have to happen all at once over here. And let's see if I can do it. Oh man, this video is really shining on me here today. Look at that. Woo! Yup. Then we got, let's lock the action open. The barrel on. Am I forgetting anything? I feel like I'm forgetting a whole part or something. No. So you see that? The gas pushing into this tube, or actually just making a chamber along the outside. That's how brilliant. That's how brilliant of an idea that was. That'd be like, it's already trying to push out there. Why stop it? If that's where it wants to go, let's let it go there and let's use it out there. That's exactly what they did. You could learn a lot from, that's right, to put this together, this goes in here first, right? Then this whole thing, this whole assembly slides up and on together. So you could learn from that. You could learn that these engineers, a smart thing to do in engineering, let's say, is if you have a problem, take the problem. What is the problem doing? take whatever the problem's doing and make that the solution instead of having to fight a solution. That's obviously, if something keeps going to the right, let's figure out how to make something that needs to go to the right. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. What an amazing design, huh? So what do we got here? I got so much stuff I don't want to miss out. So we did that comparison. We did that. Talked about the 878. See, I don't want to get. I could do some old comparisons, whatever. Looking at like what really was it about the piston that made that piston be able to adapt, where the one on the 58 here doesn't. I don't know, but maybe one of these days we'll have an 878. We'll figure that out. So let's save that for another video. Got some cool stuff here. Another Remington first, rifle slug special. See, that's the thing about the 1100, the 1148 even, that whole series. Even the 870 was like that, is that there were so many specific models. It was crazy. That each individual one had to have like they were all even set up different. Here, before we even get into those, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like, look here. Here's the Encyclopedia of Modern Firearms. Let's get into here. I'll show you what I mean about set up differently. Like, so here how cool. Look how cool this information right here is. Check this out. So here's the 58, right? So gas orifice sizes. This is the design information concerning the diameter sizes of the gas orifice holes in the barrel and the magazine cap. So they're different. So all those holes I was showing you, they're all different. So in the barrel, you saw they were holes in the barrel. All 28-inch and 30-inch length barrels had a 1.1285-inch diameter with 2 holes. That would have been the one I just showed, that we just had right here. All 26-inch length compensator barrels accepted were 0.136-inch with 2 holes. The compensator 12 gauges all had 0.140-inch with 2 holes. See, the fact that it had a compensator means you had to make the holes in the barrel larger to let in more gas. It had to be finely tuned. You know what I mean? Whereas the gun before it and the gun after it did not need all this fine tuning. The 1100 was adaptable. It would have just enough gas that it needed, and then it would blow out the rest. You know, the 1100 blows out gas along the top here. I don't know if you know that right here. See those 2 holes right there? When that piston reaches as far as it goes, it blows the rest of the gas right out. So if you have a powerful shell with plenty of gas, it blows out a lot. If you have a small shell with not that much gas, it doesn't blow out that much. The piston harnesses what it needs and just blows out the rest. Whereas all of these orifices were so important, which, I don't know, on the 1100, maybe the orifices were different in the barrel, but they're certainly not any different, unless I'm sure the 410s are different than the 28 gauge, different from the 16 gauge. But not so much with all these holes even. So it's just, here's the barrel ones, right? Then the magazine cap assemblies even, all 12 gauges had 3 holes, 0.110-inch with the 3 holes, and 0.067-inch was the 1 hole. Then 16 gauges, they only had 2 holes, 0.120-inch, and for the light loads, it was 0.067-inch for the 1 hole. 20 gauge was 0.093 for the 2 holes, 0.067 for the 1 hole. Oh, look at that, 0.067 with 1 hole was the same for all 3 gauges. That one little hole is the same for all 3. Interesting, for the light loads. Yeah, a lot of info here on this model. Whoa, I gotta start reading here. I gotta see if maybe they Tell me if look, it talks about the magazine tube and that gasket. Are you talking about that gasket in here? I don't know. Well, they're talking about a lot of stuff in here. We got to get in here and poke around and check that out. Yep. So where were we? The ads. Let's take a look at that. Yeah. Let me just have. I want to be able to put them flat. I have these also. I can pull them up for you so you can see them a bit better. Another Remington First Rifle Slug Specials. Sportsman 58 RSS. 12 gauge only. These shotguns with new Remington Rifled Slug special boring are power matched to new super accurate Remington Rifled Slug loads. Power matched. They give you the finest combination for deer or bear on the market today. All have flat face gold bead front sight and step adjustable rear sight with windage adjustment screw. Other specifications similar to standard models. Barrels are 26-inch improved cylinder. They're the model 870 and the 1148. So you had all of these together. You had the 58, the 870, and the 1148. So the two semi-autos were the 58 and the 48, along with the 870. When the 1100 came out, dude, it just killed these two. It launched both of them. They both disappeared. The 58 and the 48 both disappeared in 1963 when the 1100 came out. It killed them both. It was that good. It was that much of an advancement. Only a Remington Sportsman 58 shotgun gives you these big advantages. So this thing was called the Dial-O-Matic, and everything in the 50s was O-Matic. You know what I mean? It was the Cook-O-Matic, the Spring-O-Matic, Jack-O-Matic. Everything was, it was the O-Matic phase in the 50s, in the mid 50s, mid to late 50s. Lightweight and right weight, only 7 pounds and 12 gauge, carry comfortably all day. It was lighter. I'll tell you, it was lighter than the 1100, noticeably lighter. Felt much more comfortable to shoot a bunch of rounds of trap with. It really did. Dependable Remington craftsmanship. Interesting. New plastic body shells. Those are new. Plastic body shells were new. Light recoil, Powermatic action smooths out recoil. Scientific tests and shooter experience show Model 58 gives less shoulder jolt than any other autoloader, lets you get back on target faster. Shooters report it helps them get more doubles, more game than any other shotguns. Women and even youngsters shoot with comfort. Here's some more of the models. The 58 ADL, field grade. The 58 Magnum, they did have a Magnum, a 12 gauge Magnum. The 58 SC, the skeet grade. 58 TB, the trap grade. This would have been my ultimate. I would have wanted this one. It was a 30. You could get a 28 or a 30-inch barrel, but it was full choke, ventilated rib, ivory bead front sight, white metal rear sight, available with sun grain stock as TX grade. I would have loved to find one of those, but rare. The RSS Rifled Slug Special. Here's the 48 field gun, the 48 SA skeet gun in 12, 20, 28, and 410 gauges. And all the specifications here for the 48. I love this. Wow, I put a lot of information here. This is pretty cool. There's the part list for the 58. You have the other, yeah, and on the other side. That's nice. That's nice to have. So, what else? There was a few other things. So the, let's see, what do I have here? Remington's, so this was manufactured in 12, 16, and 20 gauge from 56 to 63 the whole time. It was replaced by the model 1163. So for the whole run, you get a 12, 16, or a 20. I have designed by L. Ray Crittenden, Ellis Halliston, and Philip R. Haskell. I had 3 names there. And yeah, the 878 released in 1959 with the power piston. That's what that was called, the power piston, using no vented cap. It's called the 878 Automaster. It had a self-adjusting gas system. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, I showed up on the range this particular day on a weekday, nobody around. It was nice to just have the whole place to myself. Kind of like now. I enjoy at the end of these videos, it's all said and done. I'm thinking about the 56 things I forgot to talk about. And we sit down and we talk about how it's shot. I loved how it's shot, but I could tell that the rounds that I had were a little hot. They just felt a little hot. Let me see. Let's see if I have a. Do I have an empty box of what it was that I was shooting? I think I do. Let me pull this out. I'll let you know right now. So here's what it was. I was shooting Rio Star Team Evo Training, 2 3/4 inch, 1200 feet per second, 1 1/8 ounce, 7.5 shot. I think I'd rather go with like 1 ounce loads. And I'm not so much worried about the feet per second. I just think the less I put down range, the less shot I'm putting down range with this gun, probably the better. I'm thinking I need to go a little milder. I felt like it was beating it up a little bit. However, as far as its shot, it was a pleasure. It really was. It did not have one single hiccup at all. Every round ejected, the bolt stayed open every single time. I didn't feel like the gun missed once when I missed. What did I shoot? I wrote it down over here. I shot, okay, with the Model 58, here it is. I shot a 20, a 21, an 18, and a 19. A little off from where I've been with the 1100. Which, by the way, with the 1100, I've been keeping up with if you've been keeping up with my scores, last time I went, I have footage for it, but I'm not even going to post it. There was a whole bunch of guys there. There were people pacing back and forth in front of my camera, talking in a different language, so I don't know what the hell they were talking about. I could post that, and I think they were talking in Portuguese, and somebody could be like, they were completely making fun of you, like, I don't know. So my last round with the 1100, not to confuse things, was a 23, a 20, a 20, and a 24. And again, once again, a 24 at the end there. And the one that I missed was really a shame. I felt like my mind wandered for just a minute, a millisecond actually, and I missed one. But I feel like if I could have done another round or two, I know there's a 25 in that 1100. We're going to get it. But that adds up to 87 again. So again, 87, which is exactly what I shot the last time I went out, which was a 19, a 22, a 23, and a 23 for 87. This time a 23, a 24, and a couple of 20s. All right. So, but this time with the 58 was a 20, a 21, then an 18, and a 19. So it fell off a little bit. The first two rounds were in the 20s, which is, that's good. If you're shooting like that with a gun, it's good. But then it just started falling off. I think my mind started wandering. Plus, when I'm alone, when it's just me alone, it's just so rapid fire that like you just start to get, I don't know, there isn't enough time between shots. You're really going to do good in your first and second game, and you're going to do worse in your later games. Whereas if I'm shooting with a line full of people, or even one other friend, it seems like I do better towards the end. You know what I mean? So it's weird. The slower the shots are going, it seems like you build up to a higher scores, and the faster the shots are going for me, it's like the first game I could just step up. It feels like I would do the best. But it felt much lighter. It felt like easier to point, but comfortable. It felt just as comfortable and just as smooth. I feel like it felt like an 1100. It felt like a lighter 1100, and I'll tell you, it could be a favorite of mine if I could really just iron out, if I know I can make it reliable where I don't have to worry about these gaskets, If this part that I get is able to hold it all together, if if it fits in the forearm, number one, it has to fit in the forearm. I hope it does. It has a weird beveled like type of edge, and it's that ring. And just hopefully, and I don't see that there's different forearms available for these. But I do see that there's different, like the ring itself, the rubber ring inside they redesigned. But just hopefully they designed that. I mean, the gasket they redesigned, evidently. But hopefully the ring itself they just designed to fit inside the forearm, so you could even adapt. It would make sense if they were going to fix the problem. It would only make sense if they adapted that ring to fit in the older guns. So somebody that had one that's like, this gun sucks, I'm blowing these rings out all the time, they're bulging up out of the top, and they go like, here, put this part in. And it would only make sense to make it adaptable to the older guns, when they're designing that the fix. It should be like a retrofit. And I can't wait for that thing to get here. The guy that I'm buying the gasket from is saying, I have to get the right gasket for that part that you bought right there, that revised one, that later one, with that thing on the top to protect it. I have the gasket for that. So if that fits inside your gun, that ring that fits inside your gun, my gasket's going to be fine. So that's all I got to worry about now, is that ring fits inside. And if it does, I think that irons that problem out. And then I guess I just have to make sure I'm shooting good with 7/8 ounce loads or 1 ounce loads. I want to just think the gun would do better. Well, let's see. Maybe with this ring in there, then these ounce and an eighths would be okay. I mean, let's see what happens. I'm getting a couple of these rings from them, so I'll have some spares. And so if one of them gets blown out after a few visits, I'll know. I'll put in a new one, and I'll know I need to tame it down a little bit more. So we'll see what happens. But I have now experienced firsthand what the bad things are about this shotgun, and you know what? I'm okay with it. I'll adapt, and I love the progression in the design. I really do respect the move from the 11. First of all, from the Browning design, from the model from the 11, to move into the that sleek looking design with the 1148, and then to just leave the long recoil behind and move into their first gas operated shotgun. Awesome. Not everybody's a John Browning, you know what I mean? And these guys did a pretty good job. Just after 7 years, some guys came along and they kind of swept up a little of the debris that they left behind in the design. You know what I mean? They tidied it up a little bit, and they were like, yeah, well, let's, all right, there's a gas piston, but how about we just move the gas out to the outside over here, and then let's see how that works out. How did that work out? That little step worked out so good that we're still using that shotgun today, and the 1100 is an animal. It really is. It's just what a proven design, huh? And nothing's breaking or falling apart or cracking on those. It just showed that it's like a piston design without a piston, right? It's amazing, and I'm loving the ability to sit here and be amazed at the progression. And I'm glad to take you along with me. So that's that, ladies and gentlemen. Whew. There was a lot with this one, and I'm telling you, I'm leaving a lot on the cutting room floor here. I got other books here. I got other papers. There was so much stuff. Good thing I didn't see that encyclopedia of modern firearms that had a ton of information on the 58. I don't even know what was going on there. They're talking about the bolt and all kinds of stuff. Maybe they have some information over there on this ring and this gasket. I'm going to take a look. But that's from the mid 50s, this book, or early 60s, actually 63, I think this one was, this revision of my encyclopedia is 63. So it would have been when they're already abandoning this gun. But yeah, it would have all the information on the different, by 63, everything that was done to the 58 was done already. So it would have that information, but by 63, they threw in the towel on the design. So I guess the 878 would have been the pinnacle, And the one I have would have been the one with all the problems. So I asked for it by getting a first year model, but that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to know. I knew that they had revised it through time to try to fix the problems, and I didn't want that. I wanted the one with all the problems, and I got it. I asked for it, and I got it. Whew. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. By the way, if any YouTube moderators are still watching this video an hour and a half in, wow, this might be the longest one ever. Woo! We got nobody still watching except for like 9 hardcore Milsurp Garage watchers. What's up? It's just us now. This is nice. We should kick the lights off and put on some soft music and just chill. But YouTube moderators, nothing here is devised to teach people how to create guns. Okay, we're just amazed at these designs. This is all just for maintenance, cleaning, adjusting, keeping these old firearms going. Nothing here made or done on this video that has anything to do with building or creating firearms. We look at these designs and these patents and these exploded diagrams just to learn from them and be amazed. It's art. It is art. And on that note, we will depart, and we'll see you all next time. Who knows where we're going to go? I don't even know what direction to go in right now. Got some stuff here all laid out in front of me, and we're going to have to just point in the direction and just go. And stick with me. We'll see you all soon. Take care.